Now we are going to have a discussion on constants in C. What is a constant? As the name suggests, something that never change. Of course, once defined, cannot be modified later in the code. Yes. Now how do we define constants? We can define constants in our code using hash define or using const keyword. Let's see how to use hash define. Syntax for hash define would be hash define, then name, and then value. Sometimes name is also called as macro. Okay. Job of preprocessor, not compiler, is to replace name with value. Now this is the job of preprocessor, like preprocessor does the job of replacing the header files with their actual content. You know this thing that hash include stdio.h is going to get replaced by preprocessor. This name over here is also going to get replaced by this value available over here. And this is the job of preprocessor. Let's see one example. Here suppose I define a pi with 3.14159. Now this is the name and this is the value. Hash define name. Name is pi and value is 3.14159, right? I am simply going to print this pi instead of using this 3.14159 constant over here. I'm simply using pi and print it up to 5 decimal points. Let's see what is going to be the output. Here you can see this is going to be our output 3.14159, right? We would be able to print this pi using just this pi name over here, right? With the help of this name, we would be able to print this value 3.14159. And this is the advantage of using hash define. Suppose in our code, we have to write 3.14159 many number of times. Then writing this constant is quite cumbersome. Therefore, instead of this constant, we can write this pi, which is quite readable as well as easy to write. Therefore, we are using hash define. Now here are some takeaways to take along with you. Please don't add semicolon at the end. If you notice it carefully, that we are not adding any semicolon at the end, so we should not add semicolon at the end. Here you can see in this example, I'm adding a semicolon at the end. Now this is one thing that you need to avoid at any cost. This will produce an error. So please avoid adding semicolon at the end. Now this is the common practice and this is the common mistake we do almost all the time. Because we usually end our statements with semicolon, like this printf function, we are ending with semicolon. After this return 0, we are ending with semicolon. But here we are not going to add semicolon at the end. We need to avoid this. Choosing capital letters for name is a good practice. For example, here you can see I'm not using capital letters for name. Now what is the disadvantage you may get? It is possible that I declare a variable with the same name, right? And I assigned it a value 74 and I'm just simply trying to print this value. Now we got an error out of this because our macro is also with same name, right? Now preprocessor does its job and replace this value with 89 wherever it finds it out. Here also it replaced this with 89 and replaced this also with 89. Now this is the disadvantage because as you can see, this is equivalent to this statement, right? When the preprocessor replaced this value with 89, then this is what we got. 89 is equals to 74. Now this is something we cannot do, right? We cannot assign a constant to a constant and we got an error. Now it is better to write capital letters for the hash define macros. This will avoid confusions later on. Suppose you have a big file with lots of lines of codes and somewhere you declare a variable with the same name as macro. Then in that case you got an error and finding out the error is very difficult. So we need to avoid such practice. Better is to write capital letters for the names of the macros you are defining over here. Now whatever inside double quotes won't get replaced. If you think in this example, this value is also going to get replaced with 89, then you are wrong. Because this is inside double quotes and it is treated as string, preprocessor won't replace this particular value with this 89. It is only going to replace this value with 89. Now the output for this is value is 89. not 89 is 89. Whatever is there in double quotes is not going to replaced by the preprocessor. Remember this thing. We can use macros like functions. For example, here you see I use this add x comma y, just like a function, and after that I perform some operation which is x plus y. What I want to do is I want to perform the addition of two numbers 4 and 3. I simply call this macro, and this is going to get replaced with this x plus y, which is nothing but equals to 4 plus 3. This gives us the output as 7. Addition of two numbers is 7. We can write multiple lines also using slash. Now here we can see that I'm writing multiple lines over here using slash. Here what I want to do is, I want to know this thing that whether x is greater than y or y is greater than x. If x is greater than y, then I'm going to print x is greater than y. If it is not, then x is lesser than y. In this case, I'm providing 5 and 6 as the values of x and y. This is the if-else construct. We're going to talk about if-else in later sections. Here you can see inside if the condition is evaluated to true, then this statement is evaluated, else this statement is evaluated. Here you can see I provided 5 and 6 as the values to x and y. 5 is not greater than 6, therefore this condition is false. This means else condition is evaluated, which is 5 is lesser than 6. And this is going to be our output here. 5 is lesser than 6, right? First expansion, then evaluation. Let's see what does it mean. Here you can see I have written result of expression a star b plus c is percentile d. This percentile d is going to get replaced with the second argument of the printf. We know this thing already. Here I'm performing the operation 5 multiplied with this macro over here. Here you can see this macro is going to get replaced with 4 plus 3, which is equals to 7. And we simply multiplied with 5, which results in 35, right? Wrong. This is not done. 5 is multiplied with macro. First, the replacement is going to get done. First expansion, then evaluation. Here the expansion simply means that this macro is expanded to x plus y and it is getting replaced over here, which is nothing but 5 into 4 plus 3. And then the whole expression is evaluated, which is 5 into 4 plus 3. Result of 5 into 4 plus 3, according to the BODMAS rule, we know this thing that 5 into 4 is evaluated first, which gives us 20, and then we add 3 to it, which gives us 23. Now the answer is not 35, answer is 23. Some predefined macros like date, time can print current date and time. If we use these macros, they are going to print the current date and current time. Please note down this thing that these are double underscores, not single. Same for the time as well. Now these are the predefined macros or standard macros which prints the current date and current time. Okay friends, this is it for now. See you in the next lecture. Bye-bye.